In the name of the Holy One, you may be seated. So first and foremost, I want to just take a moment and thank Reverend Kim for inviting me to hold space on her behalf today as she is off sharing the good news over at St. Luke's about Church of the Common Ground. With that said, I want to get into our readings for today. In the Old Testament reading that we had, we hear Moses and God having a conversation, which is more of a declaration, really. God is upset. Can you believe it? God is upset with mankind for being human once more and again. Now, the Israelites have a bit of a cycle they like to get into. They get in trouble. They find themselves in hardship and they need God's help. And what do we do as human beings when we get in trouble, we have hardships and we need mercy? We call out to God. And then God shows up, right? And God showed up for the Israelites and delivered them out of Egypt and did what God was supposed to do. But once again, Israelites caught themselves being human. They caught themselves being in this peacetime, and they were worshiping idols and other gods. And who knows that God is a jealous God, and God didn't like that. But this time, something was a little different. Moses stepped up and said, hey, God, let's break the cycle. Let's give them another chance. Now, God, what does it look like that you did all this work? Deliver your people out of Egypt only to bring your wrath back down on them. And that changed God's heart. But when sitting with this text, I realized something. It made me think of a book by Sebastian Younger called Tribe. In this book, Younger goes into an area where it's been torn by war, okay? But it's several years later, and they're in peacetime, and when he interviews those citizens, what he finds to be true is that when they think about the war and that time of disaster and hardship, they look back on it with fondness. Not because of the death and despair, but it was a time in which the community came together. There were no barriers. There wasn't anything keeping them apart. They came together because they had one goal, right? They all were experiencing something hard. And that's not lost on me today, especially today, on 9/11, 20 plus years after a tragic event took place here in the U.S., we came together as a tribe, did we not? We sat with those hardships. We put our differences aside for a moment. We came together. We got closer to God. Because that's what hardships do. You think about Katrina. You think about a hardship that you've had in your life. It brings you closer to God. In a way, Church of the Common Ground is a tribe, y'all. Our community is made up of folks going through hardship. Maybe you're experiencing homelessness. Maybe you may have issues with mental health. Maybe it's addiction. Maybe life just got hard. But that's our community. That's our church. And that's our tribe. So, in this tribe, I look at our text in the New Testament, and we hear Jesus telling the parable of the 100 sheep, right? That flock, that 100, and I'm paraphrasing, but it says something along the lines of, if you have 100 sheep, and out of that 100 sheep, you leave, one leaves, you will leave the 99 to go and rescue that one. How many of us have been the one? How many of us have strayed? How many of us have had that hardship where we didn't feel that we were close to God? But God, but Moses. Sometimes we need that intercession. Sometimes we need someone to intercede and say, hey, God, have mercy. Sometimes Sometimes we need God to get out of his jealousness or get out of God's own way and say, hey, I'll overlook it this time. I'm going to change my mind. Because sometimes we all have been the one. So in that, I want you to take one more part from that scripture, because the most important part that stood out to me in that New Testament reading was not only did God go out and find that sheep, what did he do when he found it? Rejoice. Right? Brought that sheep back to the fold and called his friends and said, rejoice, I have found my one sheep. So I want you to take that with you. But before we close here, I extend an invitation, one of true intentionality. I want you to take a moment, because as I said, we've all been that one. So I want you to find someone. Look at them. Take a moment, because guess what? Now I invite you to intercede. Find someone. Look at them. Say these words. It's so good to see you. Welcome back. One more time. It's so good to see you. Welcome back. Now, rejoice.
They got up and walked away from it.